Hey girl, welcome to Finding My Best Self, the podcast where it's totally okay to show up in your leggings and messy bun. Because let's be real, that's our uniform here. The only rule is to be unapologetically yourself.
And I'm Mandi, and joining me is Pam, the queen of finding the silver linings. We're here to share laughs, tears, and everything in between. Think of us as your new best friends with some stories to tell and wisdom to share.
From face palms to victories, we're diving into the journey of self-discovery, wellness, and what it means to truly embrace who you are. So whether you're conquering the world or just trying to find your phone in the black hole, purse, we've got you covered.
Because here it's all about encouraging you to lace up those sneakers, or don't, we're not judging, and join us as we explore what it truly means to own your confidence and find your best self.
So pour yourself a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Finding My Best Self podcast. I am one of your hosts, Pam Rivet, and
I'm Mandi St. Germaine.
We are the owners of NMLS, The Woman Beyond the Cape, and Finding My Best Self podcast is just a branch of that. It's a way for us to be able to chat about just life and being a mom and things like that. So thanks for joining us today. If you're new here, or even if you've been around for a while, we'd like to ask if you would please leave us a review or follow our podcast. It's the way that helps us to grow and to get our podcast out there. So if you have a moment, just do that in the app.
And you can also watch it, if you're just listening, you can watch it on Spotify, Apple, and then also YouTube. So if you're not on our YouTube channel, we try and share different shorts or videos. And so it's another great place to find us.
Yeah. So it's both audio and video for those who like to watch with us.
Yeah.
Get to put a face with a voice. Mm-hmm. So Mandi and I were talking this week and I was like, because we go back and forth on these podcast episodes. We'll do some that are solo. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we have guests that come in, and then sometimes we do joint episodes together. And whenever we do joint episodes, it's always, I think, our favorite because it's like we talk about, it's therapy for us. We get to actually have, these deep conversations with each other that we get to share with you and just, get really personal about things that whether we're personally going through them now in life, right, or it's just things that we've been through, or like you said this week, that you've been hearing a lot of.
Right. Always. I feel like those are our best topics too, that we'll have conversations and we're like, okay, we have to talk about this because I feel like we're both kind of on the same page and I know we're not alone. So,
yeah. And so I asked Mandi, I was like, what are you feeling like this week? What are we talking about? Because it's always, we don't have some sort of script that we go by or,
it's just real life moments.
Yeah. I was like, what are you feeling? Like, what's been going on? What's in there? Mm-hmm. And she said, I've been hearing a lot about burnout
from almost everyone I've talked to. It's a topic. And I know we've talked about it on previous episodes, just with the start of the year and things like that. But it's definitely something that a lot of people are just venting about, I guess is the word. But so it was the perfect topic for us to talk about today.
Yeah. And so what I think happens, and this is just my personal thoughts and personal feelings, because this is something that happens to me, I feel like every year. So much so that I said this year, I am writing this down in my journal to remind myself to do what I need to do so that I don't feel this way again next year, because it happens every single year.
You get there and you're like, it happened again.
Yeah. So I think what happens is that we go through the holidays. I was going to say November, Thanksgiving, but even it starts kind of with Halloween too. So there's Halloween and then there's Thanksgiving and then there's Christmas. And so it's just nonstop, go, 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 go. And then the New Year rolls around and we're like, I'm going to make all of these goals and all of these, if you do New Year's resolutions, and you get so pumped, but we never took time to rest and come off of and come down from the holidays. Mm-hmm. We go straight from nonstop parties and get-togethers, and the kids are out of school, and we're just like, go, 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 go. And then we're like, new year, new goals, go.
Work out, eat right, do all the right things. And we're literally on fumes at that point.
And so January comes around, and then you have these feelings of, I suck at life.
Yeah. Why can't I do this?
I made all these goals and I just totally failed in the first month of the year.
So you already start out like on the wrong foot. I give up.
Totally screwed up all my goals.
Try again in 2026. Yeah.
Right. And so that's when burnout tends to happen. It's just like, you're like, I am just so burnt out because I just screwed everything up. I just screwed everything up. And so that's what we want to talk about today, because you are not alone in that. So know that you are not alone if you just came off of January feeling like, what the heck was that? Because I said it. I was like, what the heck was that? Now, there were so many great things that happened in January. And although it was a good month, I also felt like, you know, you didn't do all the things that you said you were going to change or do or start implementing for January.
I feel like so many people posted on February 1st, Happy New Year, because they were literally like, we're just starting over. We're just not doing it. And so I love that. It's almost like you don't start your new year till February, because January has to be that reset time.
Time to reset and refocus. So it's almost like, start doing your goal setting in December and slowly work your way into it into January. And so that's what I journaled about. And that's what I took note of for myself personally, because I 1000% felt like that in January. Like, can we start? Let's start over. And so,
and I do. I feel like the month itself every year kind of brings its own challenges anyway, like without us even planning for it. So it's almost like, not to have that expectation that January 1st is, you know, that's going to start it, because for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but January always has more ups and downs. And I don't know if it's because we put these goals on ourselves or this stress that like, I got to be this way now, that it just, when it doesn't, you beat yourself up even more, because you're like, well, there that goes, you know, like I tried, but this happened or that happened. And so I think it's the mindset for sure.
Yeah. 1000%. So we're going to focus really in on burnout, because I really sat with this today. And so we're recording on a Sunday, which for Mandi and I, we go to church every Sunday. And I was really sitting with what exactly I felt about burnout and how I deal with it when it happens to me, and, you know, what I think causes it, what it feels like, what it looks like, what causes it, and how I fix it. And so I really, really sat with that today. And then, of course, I went to church, and, you know, there were just things that were said during church. I also listened to a service. Mandi knows I'm a huge fan of Social Dallas and Robert Madu. And so I listened to theirs before I went to church, their service. And his also was just a message that I really needed to hear. So I told Mandi, I was like, I think this is how we should go about it. And she agreed. So
yeah, church for me too. We go to 2 different churches, and we were literally like, that's what we were hearing today. So it was kind of like that moment that like, okay, obviously this is what God's trying to tell us. And so we need to kind of discuss it.
So let's talk about it. So burnout, when those feelings, because it doesn't just happen. It's not like you just wake up one day and you're like, oh, I'm burnout. Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm sure
maybe some days
you do wake up and you're like, today
I can't do it today.
But morning time, and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to go back to bed and start over tomorrow. But burnout doesn't happen overnight. It's something, it's a gradual thing. And you can, even if you're really good at it, and it's something that I know that I've been working on, right, is trying to see that before it gets to the point where it's really, really bad, right? It's trying to know what those little things that I start seeing or noticing or feeling, that is me telling myself, this is, you're going to get burnout. You're on the path to burnout. You need to back away.
Right. And I think we can identify that, and if you start to look for it, because I feel like a lot of times we get in the cycle where we just feel it, and we're not trying to like connect it to something or something we do, or like those triggers, I guess. And so when you do start to put like an emphasis on, hey, why is this happening? That's whenever you start to see the little trends, and then you can kind of stop it before it gets in full blown shut down and I don't want to do anything. So
yeah, it's always in the why.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? So, and I say look and feel like, because it's two kind of different things. What that actually looks like on the outside, and then how you feel on the inside, is two completely different things. So for me personally, I'm going to start with feel, because I think that's where it starts. I will start to feel that I have no desire to do things that I used to have desire to, or that I typically really enjoy doing.
Mhm.
So like eating right, or working out, or journaling every day, or reading in my Bible app every day, or spending time with my family, or making phone calls to my friends. The little things that's how it starts to feel, is that I don't have the desire to do those things anymore. And then obviously it just will slowly continue to get worse and worse and worse. And then it looks like that I start doing things that I don't normally do. And I guess some of them go hand in hand, right? Is that I will not work out. I'm not working out as much or as often. I'm eating a lot of junk food. I'm doing things like watching TV, which for me, I don't watch TV at all. So if I watch any TV, it's a lot of TV.
That's a trigger. That's a sign.
And so that will continue to get worse, right? It'll turn into like I'm watching a little bit of TV to the point where I'm sitting on the couch at night watching hours of TV and just completely zoning out. Because for me, that is me trying to turn off and just step away from and completely remove myself from all the things that I don't want to think about, right? All of the things that I think are issues that are stressing me out or causing all of these problems. And so, or even talking earlier, and we said, you start hanging out with people that you wouldn't normally hang out with, or doing things that you wouldn't normally do. So I don't know what that.
And it's a little different for me. I mean, I do find that I still have those attributes too, because I'll get like that. I'll shut down. I'll start just sitting on the couch. And you have to know that about us too. Like, we're doers. And so when we stop and we don't want to do that, that's whenever, I mean, there's so much time in your day. And so for us, I feel like we want to utilize every minute we have. And so when you start to pull back and kind of shut down, like you said, I'll choose not to go do things because I'd much rather just kind of sit and sulk in whatever I'm feeling. But for me, I'll push myself into things that I shouldn't. If people are asking me to do this, that, or whatever, or, I'll kind of just throw myself into things that aren't as productive or aren't as aligned as we talked about before. It's just one of those things where I'll start to notice the shutdown. And it's not necessarily anything like major happening. It's just I have put so much on myself, or the pressure to do this, that, or whatever. And so when I'm not doing the things that align with me and what make me feel good, that's whenever I block it out, just shut down.
Yeah. So it's a lot of, if you are feeling like you're burnt out or struggling, that's probably what you're seeing, or what's happening is that you're having all of these feelings of, I just don't want to, I have no energy. And if you allow all of those things to continue on, that's when it can get really bad. And then that's when it turns into full-blown depression. You start having little bouts of anxiety here and there, and thinking all of these horrible thoughts, and not having any faith in anything anymore. And everything just completely shuts down. And that's what'll happen if you don't recognize it and try to fix it. So it boils down to, I guess, at what point and when are you going to recognize it, and when you're going to make the decision of enough is enough.
It's the pattern. You have to identify the pattern. Like, when I'm doing these things, this is what it leads to. And I feel like that's so hard for a lot of us to identify, because you just feel like, oh, well, that's just life, or that's when these things happen. But really, if you pull back and you really look at it, it's because you are allowing certain things to happen in your life without looking back and saying, okay, whenever these certain things that I'm doing, whether it's shutting down, not wanting to talk to anybody, kind of closing myself off, that's whenever you're burnt out. And it's the identification that's so hard, because a lot of the time we just blame it on other things. We don't take that responsibility.
She just hit the nail on the head, because she knows that's where I'm going with this. Because that's exactly what it is. It is when and at what point you are going to decide. And let me start over. A lot of times I've heard people venting about burnout and things like that. It comes from all of these things that are going on, all of these things that have come up. I just have so much on my plate. there's too many events, too many parties, too many people that are like, oh, come do this, come do this. I said yes to a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have said yes to because those things didn't align with me. At the end of the day, in order to fix burnout, in order to recover from burnout, to make it go away, is to hold that mirror up. And that's that conversation that I have with myself. And I get so real. I got so passionate earlier telling Mandy, I was like, I think I'm going to get really real on this podcast and get up. I always tell Mandy, I love when I go to church and the pastor preaches at me and doesn't preach to me. I like to tell me like it is. And I'm like, okay, I heard you. So hopefully if this is that moment for you and me being able to do a little bit of preaching, and just know that I'm doing this with love and care and compassion, and know that it is something that I do to myself, is that I have to get really real with myself and holding up that mirror and saying, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? Or what, even better, what are you not doing?
Right.
That is causing this. Because at the end of the day, the cause of your burnout is you. It's not anybody else. It's not anything that's going on in your life. Anybody else who's trying to interfere, all of the things on your plate, your kids, wife, husband, life, anything else. Your burnout is because of you. It is because exactly what you said, that you have stopped tending to you and the self-care things that you need to do to take care of you. You heard me say that when I'm entering burnout, I stop doing the things that I know that I need to do for me. I stop eating right. I stop working out. I'm watching TV. I'm not hanging out with, having conversations with my friends that I care about. Like all of the things that are what I consider my self-care practices, I've stopped.
Yeah, they're gone. We shut down.
I shut them off.
Yeah.
And the more I shut them off, the more burnout I feel. And so that's the hard part, right? Is holding up that mirror and saying, stop pointing the finger at other people.
Stop blaming other situations. It's what you are allowing to be done to you or what you're doing to yourself.
Right. You have control over that situation. So you have to choose and make the choice. I am going to stop this. I am going to put an end to it. Is it going to be easy? No, because at that point, you've destroyed your energy levels. You've destroyed everything. I've been in that situation where I'm like, I literally have no energy. But I know it's because I've been feeding my body junk. I've been watching too much TV. I haven't been journaling, and I know, and I haven't been working out. And so I know when I start telling myself, no, you have to do those things. You have to do this, that I'm going to feel like I'm starving because I'm out all of the sugar and stuff like that my body's craving. I'm probably going to have headaches because of that as well, because I'm cutting out sugar. I'm going to be super sore because I'm making myself work out again. I'm going to I know that it's not easy, but at the end of the day, you have to choose. Do you want to continue to feel like crap? Do you want it to continue to get worse? Or do you want to start to feel better and start putting in that time for you again and those self-care things? Because I know 1000% that when I'm taking care of me, everything shifts.
Oh, yeah. Well, and what came up while you were saying that was the word discomfort. Like, which discomfort are you going to kind of deal with? Are you going to be uncomfortable in the little moments where you are eating like junk, not working out, not taking care of yourself, or the discomfort of actually doing those things for yourself and getting yourself back? Because I find when all that happens and you are uncomfortable and you feel like, oh, I haven't been doing this or whatever, that depression sets in. But the anxiety of, well, I need to be doing this. And then you start stressing yourself out even more because you know how far you've gone and you know how deep you are at that moment. The discomfort of getting out of that, though, is going to be so much more beneficial and powerful to you because you noticed it. You're making changes in order to make it better. And then you're once again holding the mirror up and saying, I'm doing this to me. So you're the only one that can get yourself out of
it. And, for me, it is having that conversation with myself of, your schedule has not changed.
Yeah.
You are still doing just as much now as you were doing before. You don't have more on your plate. If anything, when I am in that feeling of burnout, I'm actually doing less because I don't have the desire to. So I'm actually in a sense, I'm taking things off of my plate that I would normally be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the mindset where again, holding up the mirror. That's when I have to have that hard talk with myself of, you would be doing so much more and not feel burned out over it and have so much more energy if you were taking care of you. And it just goes back to the fact that we talk about self-care, and why self-care is so important is because it is the foundation of everything in your life, everything that you do, how you feel, how you look, how you act, your mindset, your productivity levels. It is the foundation of everything, you taking care of you, because again, it, just repetitive that I feel like we are. And the sayings that you hear all the time is that you cannot pour from an empty cup.
It trickles. Everything trickles down. And then it trickles outside of us, because we can make ourselves feel a certain way, but I know for sure my family feels it whenever I'm in those burnout stages. I'm overstimulated. I'm angry. I'm, lashing out at the kids for silly things, and they're looking at me like, what's going on? It's just, we internalize so much, but we don't realize how much that pours into everything around us, whether it's things that we're doing at work or at home and things. And it's just, you've got to pull it back and just look at yourself and say, okay, they don't deserve that. I don't deserve that, to be doing that to myself. And so it's that realization that self-care has to happen first. And I know it's hard for moms because we want to take care of everyone else first. But if you're like running on fumes, no one is benefiting from that at all. Not even you. Like, you cannot even be your most optimal self running on low and just not in the right mindset.
Yeah. So, that's what it boils down to, is that when you start having those feelings, is to hold that mirror up, because you are not in alignment. And if it's burnout, then you're not in alignment with a lot of things. It's not just one thing. You were completely and totally out of line. Like, the train done ran off the tracks and flipped over. Like, you are not on the track at all anymore. You have, completely derailed. And I know these terms because my husband's an engineer, so I have to hear it all the time.
Well,
otherwise I would have no, I would not be compared to a train.
Yeah. But that word alignment, and I know that you probably hear us say that often, but what we mean by that is the alignment with where you see yourself, what goals you have for yourself, where God is gearing you to go. Whenever you are in alignment with the things that you're supposed to be doing, it just feels right. It feels good. Like you said, you just move through it smoothly, to where that's a little notice that you can look for, because the second something doesn't feel right, it's just not in alignment with where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. And everything works so much better. You can do so much more when you're not, when you are taking care of you, and all of those million things that are being put on your plate, and all the little extra things that start happening. All of a sudden the kids have field trips and extracurriculars, and you get the birthday party invitation and all the other things on top of your normal everyday job. All of those things are just like, okay, yep, we got that. And it's just, and you can continue to go and do because you've taken care of you, and you have all this energy, and you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
You feel like, I can conquer the world.
And they do say that too, that whenever things come up, because obviously women as moms in general, we always have things, like you said, the birthday parties, just everything under the sun comes up. But it's taking the time before you say yes to something to think about that, and just kind of like quickly, does this align, or can I give that? We talk about the whole, like, giving a percent of yourself, like, should I be saying yes to this right now? Or is it not in alignment, and it's going to cause me to be even more burnt out, or to throw yourself into that burnout? Yeah.
So it's a 2-question ask, right? Yeah. It's, does this align with who I am and my goals in life, and, who I am serving, like all of those things? Is this, in alignment with me and who I am? And then that next question after that should be, do I have the space for this right now? Because you may not. There may be something that comes up that, if you were to invite me to go do something, and of course I always would give anything to spend time with you and to go do things, but you may be asking me at a point where my plate already is super full.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those situations of, just having that conversation with that person, saying, look, I love you, and that I would give anything, but right now there's just, my plate is full,
Mm-hmm.
can either we reschedule for another time, or if it's not something that can be rescheduled, like definitely keep me in mind the next time. You don't want to push yourself into a stage of feeling overwhelmed or feeling like you're scrambling because you are, overflowing your plate.
There was something I heard. I listen to Joyce Meyer in the morning when I get ready, and she made a statement that talking about friends and just, having a space to do certain things. Cause we do feel more obligated whenever like our friends ask us to do something. Cause we're like, oh, we need to be there. But there's certain times that have come up to where you have to ask yourself, is this something that, God would want me to be in that certain space or that certain position? And so she made a comment that said that your friends that know that you are working towards, living out God's will for your life or doing the things that align with you, they're going to understand if you come back and you say, I just don't think that aligns with me right now, or I don't think that that's where I need to be right now. Most people would be kind of back like, oh, she doesn't want to do this or that. But your friends that get it, or the ones that are going to understand that you're trying to live your life a certain way, and if it doesn't align, then they're going to understand that. And so I feel like it's that question too, and respecting other people that when they say no, because a lot of people, I have trouble saying no, but getting to that space to where when you say no, the people around you are going to respect that and know that it's just not in alignment with where you need to be or do at the time.
Yeah. And not just respect it and understand it, but they're going to commend you for it too.
Right.
And they're going to say, I'm really proud of you for holding, that.
Recognizing it and saying, I love you and I'd love to be there for you during this, but I just can't right now. And they're, to have that, just, I don't know, awareness, self-awareness to know that that's where you need to be.
It's creating boundaries and sticking to them and not giving in.
We're still learning.
Not giving in. It's, it's having those boundaries and knowing when to say no, even if it is to the people who you do love and want to be with and be around.
Family included.
Family
included. That's the tough one.
Family included. So that's pretty much, this is a short episode, but I think we pretty much covered it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's truly where my head is and how I feel about burnout. I feel that if you are struggling with burnout and you are feeling like, I just can't go anymore, I have no desire to do anything, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, I'm just in a funk right now. I hear that when I'm just in a funk right now, I'm just in a weird mood. All of those little terms and phrases that you start to say, that is when you need to hold the mirror up. Better yet, don't hold it up. Go in the bathroom or in the room where you can find the biggest freaking mirror that you can find and go stand in front of it and take a look at yourself and say, well, what are you doing? What are you not doing that you should be doing so that way you don't feel this way? And I want to be like, check yourself, like put yourself in check. Take inventory of all of the things that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing, the things that you should be doing that you're not doing, and the things that you need to do in order to stop yourself from feeling that way. And it's not going to happen overnight. Burnout doesn't happen overnight, and correcting burnout doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take time. It's going to take you telling yourself no. It's going to take you, when you go to bed at night, saying, put your phone down and pick up the book and read it. It is going to take you saying, I don't want to work out right now, but I'm going to go do it anyway. And I might complain the entire time that I'm doing it, but I'm still going to do it.
We are capable and able of working out. That's literally how I get through it. I can do it, because it's not every day you're going to feel like doing the things that make you feel good, but look what happens when you don't.
Yeah. So. It takes discipline. It takes discipline to keep yourself out of burnout. It takes discipline to continue to do and to be all of the things that you want to do and be every day of your life. I just listened to a podcast. I think I sent it to you. It was a podcast, and I don't know his last name, Sahil, and I just ordered his book too. But he talks about you having a conversation with yourself and writing down, and I loved it so much, and it really sat with me. I actually journaled about it this morning, and as I was writing them out, I was like, that's when it really, really hit me, because I heard it when he said it, but it wasn't until I went to do what he said to do that it really struck me, that I was like, these are all I am affirmations. He said, think about the type of person that you want to be. And so he goes into saying, like, you write these down. And he's talking about it in an entrepreneurial aspect because, you know, when you are a true entrepreneur, like, you live and breathe everything, your business. And so what ends up happening for some people is that they, you know, will put their family on the back burner, or they put self-care on the back burner, or their friends, or something gets put on the back burner, or relationships just get destroyed because you are a gazillion %. It is your baby, it's your passion, it's everything. And you live and breathe all of your business. And so he said for him, he was like, I want to be the type of person that has lunch with their dinner with their wife every Tuesday. And he's like, so right now, he said, I have a standing reservation at one restaurant every Tuesday at 5:00. And he's like, and every single Tuesday I go to dinner with my wife. Awesome. He's like, I want to be the kind of person that picks up the phone when my friends call, you know? And so when I sat down, and so that's how he talked about it on the podcast. And so when I sat down to write out this morning in my journal, it was, I am the kind of person that does this. I am the kind of person. And so I'm writing them out, and I was like, those are all I am affirmations. And that is
so cool.
What we preach and what we do. And, you know, part of the pieces of athleisure that are named after affirmations, and just telling yourself those things, that you are the person that gets up and works out every morning. Or for me, it was, you know, I kind of went in order. It was, you know, I am the person that wakes up and reads my journal. Writes in my journal and reads in my Bible every morning. I am the kind of person that works out every morning. I am the kind of person that, you know, completes my work every day. I am the kind of person that takes time to spend with my family every day. So I went through that whole list and just like really writing down, like, I am the kind of person that does these things every single day.
I feel like you need to have that next to your mirror. Like you were saying, just talk to yourself in the mirror and just have your list and like literally speak those things to yourself every day.
I thought about getting a big, I don't know, poster board, or what's this little foam board, you know, I'm talking about that has whatever. And writing them out like in my handwriting and framing it and putting it in here in my office. So it's just right in front of me every day.
Yeah, you stare at it. That's what I'm saying. Someplace that you know you're going to see it every day. That's what you're going to do.
That's what I'm going to do. So y'all do that too. Go make you a list.
I'm going to do it too. I'm going to go do that.
And I am this kind of person list.
I like that.
And so I just ordered the book. I'm going to link it in the podcast. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the book right this second, but I just know that I was listening to the podcast and I sent it to Mandi and I was like, listen. I said, I've already bought the book. I think I sent it to 2 of my other friends too. And I was like, I already added the book to my cart on Amazon, hit checkout. And I was only even halfway done with the podcast because he really grabbed my attention. So I'll link it in. I do know his first name is Sahil because I remember that because it was a different name. And he was on the Jen Gottlieb podcast. And if you have talked to me recently, I am on a total Jen Gottlieb obsession right now. So you'll hear me talk about her quite often, I'm sure. But so yeah, that's it for today. Y'all, just burnout it's all about you. It's
real, but you got to take it and look at yourself and know that you're the only one that can change it.
And it's fixable. And you can fix it. It's not anybody else that can fix it. You don't necessarily need to go see a counselor unless you're really on the deep end of burnout and you've let it go way far too long. You know, then maybe seek some counseling and go talk to someone. Or even just reaching out to those close friends or your church community or whoever that is, you know, to help you pull yourself out of that. So you can do it. If we can do it, you can do it. You're human. You're human and it happens.
Like
and
I said, we know we're not alone. We know everybody's dealing with that right now.
All right. Well, I hope that you guys are having a great week. I know you're listening on Wednesday. So I hope you have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. And as always, remember, you are strong, you are worthy, and you are loved. And I totally screwed that up, but that's okay. That's what we're going with today. You are strong, you are worthy, you are capable, you are loved, you are all of the things. And say those to yourself every single day. I am Pam Rivet.
Mandi St. Germaine.
And this was another episode of Finding My Best Self podcast. We'll see y'all next time.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Finding My Best Self. It's been real. It's been fun. We hope you found a piece of your story in ours and feel a little more inspired to chase after your best self.
And don't forget to share this episode with someone who needs a little boost today or a good laugh. And make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode.
Nothing says owning your confidence like a new outfit from MBS Fit Co. Check out the show notes for the link to shop our luxury athleisure. Go ahead, girl. Treat yourself.
And if you've got a story to share or a topic you're dying for us to cover, drop us a line. Our email is in the show notes. Just reach out and let's keep the conversation going.
So, until next time, keep owning your confidence, embracing the chaos, and remember, the best version of you is just an episode away.
And again, we love you and we're endlessly rooting for you.